Apologize.
2 months to go for the
Okay.
election.
I apologize.
Thank you for the discussion.
Okay.
Good, yeah.
All right, so now we're going to learn about lightning. And now we're going to learn about rainbows. And believe it or not, it's going to tie in a little bit to our discussion we had before. So we're going to see how it all ties in. All right, but let's take a look at what actually is lightning. So the Gemara, let's see, it's going to be, I think, on Berachot. What daf is it on? Let's say it's around 59K. I'll look it up exactly where it's at. So Berachot. 159A. So right, so yesterday we learned about thunder, we learned about the winds, the hurricanes, the tornadoes, and now we're going to learn about the barakim. And it takes us back to Barak. Okay, so then barakim, and it's flashing, it's fire, and so it's on lightning. So we're going to learn about lightning. Okay, so the question the Gemara always asks is like, what is it? Like, what is Barakim? What is lightning? What is it? What's its nature? And then we want to find out what bracha, what blessing we make on it. So Rava gives us the first answer, and he says Barakim is Barka, lightning. It's Barak. It is lightning. And then Rob's going to make an interesting statement. So Rob is going to say, he's going to say this. He's saying a single lightning bolt. So it's going to be a single lightning bolt. And it's going to be important, like how much lightning do we need to make the bracha? And then we're going a little bit of the signs of this. And he's going to say something, he's going to say white lightning. When we started talking about this a little yesterday, we'll get back into it. And this will help us with the rainbows too. There's yellow lightning. And then he says, and then there's clouds. And clouds that come up. And this is very specific, which is interesting. That come up at the western corner of the sky. Right, so why there? Why the western corner? Why is this very specifically there of the sky? And then he says and then comes from the southern corner. So we're gonna have to really analyze here why so specific? Why is there all these directions? And then come from the southern corner. Okay, and then he says, and two clouds, sorry, it's a little to put down right now, and two clouds, each of which goes into the face of the other. All of these, now he's going to tell us a spiritual message. All of these are troublesome. Right, so these are signs where Hashem's sending a message of like Sarah, of trouble coming. So so let's take a look at this. So one thing we saw is when we started learning about the thunder, one thing we saw is that there's a relationship between the thunder and the lightning. So go briefly, real quick, back over the different ideas. So Shmuel's saying that the clouds are kind of colliding. And Rashi's saying by this, like overlapping and rubbing and colliding, then that creates a sound of the thunder. And like the waves are, like the clouds are like rolling in waves against their will, and the sound they produce is Ramim, thunder. And he brings a pasuk from Tehillim 77:19 says, the rumble of your thunder was in the rolling wind, lightning bolts lit the world, and the earth trembled and roared. So here it's interesting, the thunder is mentioned first, but there's a connection between the thunder and the lightning. So the rabbis say that thunder is caused by the clouds pouring water into each other, so it's kind of a crashing of all the water in the clouds. And we see from like the ocean that the waves, the water crashing against each other can produce a tremendous sound. And they bring a pasuk from Yirmiyahu, from Jeremiah 10:13. At the sound of his placement of a multitude of water in the heavens, And we talked about the first level of the Rikia is the Vilon, and it separates the water of the oceans, the lower water from the water in the clouds, the upper water. And the first Rikia is the Vilon, which we call the atmosphere, or the sky. And then Rav Acha Bar Yaakov, we're going to really focus on this one today. He says, thunder is caused by powerful lightning bolt that strikes a cloud and shatters the pieces of hail. So he's saying the lightning bolt comes into the cloud, and there's these ice crystals and hail inside the cloud, and then shattering that. So we see when glass breaks, it makes this explosive sound. And then Rav Ashi says when they're hollow clouds, like wind can come in and blow in the openings, and we see he gives the example of like wind over the mouth of a barrel. We also see we have all kinds of musical instruments like a flute, an oboe, a tuba, a trombone, a trumpet. We can make all kinds of amazing sounds by blowing air into a hole and then amplifying or using that sound. And so wind over an opening can create sound. Now, the Gemara says it's reasonable, according to Rav Acha Bar Yaakov, because this is what we actually see in the world. And we're going to talk about this. So what do we see during a storm? And he's saying, the rabbi's saying, the Gemara, we see lightning flash, we see the clouds rumble, and then we see the rain come. So the Maharsha, he says it's reasonable to say that the lightning bolt smashes the airborne hailstorms, and that's the thunder we hear, and then it releases the water, which falls to earth as rain. And this is close to the view of Rav Acha Bar Yaakov. Okay, so Rav Acha Bar Yaakov, his view is closest to what the modern scientific theory is. The modern scientific theory is more of like the lightning is super hot and it's super heating up the air, and that's causing like an explosion, like an explosive effect that creates the sound. Okay, so all these ideas, what's the true nature? We may not know exactly the true nature today, but we'll try to investigate the best we can. Okay, so light itself. So there's a famous mnemonic, Simon, Roy G. Biv, right? Roy, unfortunately I don't have yellow, but Roy G. Biv. And then we'll see. Then we're going to talk about the nature of light, and then we can see how light relates to sound and particles and all the fun conversations. So Roy G. Biv, let's get it all up there. And unfortunately, I don't have purple or indigo, but we'll talk about what it all means. So this is violet. This is indigo. This is basically purple. This is blue. Indigo is like in between that blue and violet. It's more, I think it's a little more reddish. It may be the color of like argamon that's talked about in the Torah, like a purplish or blue-red. Green, right? So green's like the middle frequency. We'll talk all about the nature of light. Okay, and then I don't have a yellow, but this is our yellow today. So this is yellow, and this is orange. Okay, and then red. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the nature of light, according to the physicists. And this is going to help us out with rainbows too. So, according to physicists, the physical light. So the Torah has the physical yesodos. So in the physical world, we have afar, we have soil, dirt. Up from that, we have mayim, we have water. Then we have ruach, we have air, gas, and then we have eish, fire, which is like energy, light and heat, energy. So we have eish. Now the Torah says something really fascinating. In the sod level of the Torah, and the mystical aspects of the Torah, it says that there's physical yesodos, and then here's where it gets very strange. And there's ruchnius. There's spiritual yesodos. So just as on earth, and it's hard to imagine, but just on earth as we have physical solid objects, like the elements of the solid objects in the dirt found in the ground. So we have like physical gold. And this is where it gets really crazy. But there would be a ruchnius gold, whatever that is. We have physical water, right, here in the in the world, but somewhere higher in the higher spiritual worlds, there's spiritual water. There's mayim of ruchnius, whatever that means. It's hard to really understand. And then beyond that, right, that we have physical air. We're breathing the physical air, but there's ruchnius air. There's a ruach. So we see like concepts like ruach chachma. Like Hashem is going to put a ruach of wisdom, an air of wisdom. Like what is physical air of wisdom? I'm sure people would love to sell it. Smart air. We have smart water, smart air, wise air. But we don't fully understand what a ruach chachma is. But the nevuah, the neviim, the prophets, they talk about that Hashem's going to place like a ruach chachma, like an air, a spirit of wisdom, a ruach bina, a spirit of understanding that's going to give like mind-expanding powers to Mashiach that will be able to teach the world how to perceive the world like in this clearer, wider way. So we're just going to deal with physical light right now, but there is a concept of like the whole Torah itself, like the main Torah is what the Midrash says is black fire on white fire. Now here on earth, if we write a physical Torah, we actually take the skin of a cow, make a parchment, we tan it, salt it, make it into the parchment, bleach it, it becomes the parchment. And then we take, I think it's from the plants, we take the dye, we take the ink, and then we write the physical ink on the physical parchment. But the real root of the Torah, the highest root, where it really comes from, is somewhere in Shemayim, or Shemei Shemayim, the heaven of the heavens, Hashem wrote in black fire, on white fire. It's hard for us to relate to what it means. But it's interesting because physicists are beginning to deal with ideas like the idea of dark energy, dark matter. And it could be that when they speak of dark energy, now that could be this physical black fire in the physical world, or it could be starting to talk about this spiritual fire. And the dark energy that the physicists are talking about could very much be the dark fire that the Torah and Shemayim and heaven is written with. So physicists are getting closer and closer. I mean, in the ancient world, in the Greek world, they divided up the pure study of the physical world and called it physics, and they did study the spiritual as best as they could, and they called it metaphysics. So when we're talking about the spiritual world, the soul, when we're talking about malachim, angels, we're really talking about metaphysics. And really physics is like physicists, it's really more the study of the physical world. But then, what happened is as science got into the 20th century and they started finding the wonders of the subatomic world, physicists got a little sick of just being constrained into the physical world. And then, you start having people like Einstein and the great physicists of the 20th century, and they really started tapping more into metaphysics, where they really started, thinking more about the stars, and they always have for a while, but the really metaphysics and physics is a process that is starting to come together. So they're getting closer and closer to the knowledge of the Torah. Okay, light totally baffles them, confuses them. In the Ruchniya sense, the Torah, it's the Torah or, it's Ner Mitzvah, Torah or. I think it's from Mishlei, I think it's from Proverbs. It's either Mishlei, I forgot if it's Mishlei or Koheles, Ecclesiastes. I think it's in Mishlei. And Shlomo HaMelech, King Solomon, he says that Ner Mitzvah, one mitzvah is like a candle. But the whole Torah itself is or. The whole Torah is or, is light. And we have a concept that Hashem, this or of the Ein Sof, the light of the infinite, this light that it's emanating from Hashem. B'ezrat Hashem, we're going to get to the rainbows. We'll talk more about this or, Ein Sof, this infinite light, and that's possibly related to the Shekhinah. But this infinite light was seen for 36 hours by Adam and Chava. Only 36 hours in Gan Eden, in the Garden of Eden, and then the light was hidden away, and it was called the Or Ganus. It's called the hidden light, and then that light's not going to be revealed again until the days of Mashiach. The power of Hanukkah is that we light, over the 8 days, we light 36 little neiros, 36 candles, and those tap back into the 36 original hours of light. But now we're talking about physical light. So even physical light in the physical world is very complex, and it's hard for the physicists to understand because it does crazy things. It acts like a particle. So Einstein, I think this is what Einstein actually won the Nobel Prize for, his paper on the photoelectric effect, that when you shine light on certain surfaces, it releases like photons of light. It releases particles of light. And the way it reacts is like light is particle. It's like particles of light. And they discover these little photons, these tiny, tiny little particles that are light, particles of light. But yet, these particles of light, they move in waves. So it's very confusing, because you can do experiments where they act like particles, and then you can do experiments that act like waves. Probably the truth is that it's particles moving in waves, and it's not such a hard idea to grasp, because if we think about what's a wave of water, what's a wave of water? We have little tiny drops, or little atoms, little compounds of H2O. Little, 2 hydrogen atoms, 1 oxygen atom, little particles of water, and they're moving in waves. So a wave in a sense is made of particles. But so light's confusing. So what happens is, as they move in electromagnetic waves, when they're at their lowest frequency, right? So frequency is like how often do the waves come. When their lowest frequency, but the wavelength is the biggest. The waves are bigger, but it's like takes longer, each wave to get to the next wave. So they're lowest in frequency, bigger waves, and that's like red visible light. If it's below this, it's called infrared. So if it's below that frequency and wavelength, it's called infrared, and that's actually where we have heat. So the electromagnetic wave becomes heat below the visible red, and that's infrared. And then as the frequency starts to increase, then the light starts to change, and we start to get orange and yellow and green and blue and indigo and violet. And this is like the basic 7 colors of the rainbow. And then what the scientists have found, the physicists have found, I think it was specifically Isaac Newton in his experiments on optics, and he found through glass prisms, you can take the white light coming from the sun, and then it can break into these other frequencies. Because they all refract at different angles, because they have different frequencies, it breaks it in these 7 colors. We see the colors of the rainbow. So we're going to get back to this when we talk about the rainbow. All right, so what's Rava saying here? So I'm going to honestly have to look in this a little more and see if I can look up some more sources. But he's saying, and let me read exactly what it's in here. I can get it. So he said, so it says B'Amar Rava. Rava says, Barka Yechida'a, if it's a single lightning, or it's a Barka Hivara, or if it's white lightning, Uvarka Yeroksa, or it's yellow lightning. It says, V'anane disalkan bekeren ma'aravis, and they come up from the western corner of the sky, V'asyan bekeren dromis, and then they go around from the southern corner of the sky. V'sarte anane disalka chada le'ape cheverta, and then 2 clouds, each of which goes in the face of the other, kulhu kashan. These are all symbols, these are all signs that it's trouble, it's going to be a tzara, these are going to be dangerous, these could be harmful, and they're not a blessing, right? So it's like so what Rav is asking is very interesting. Rav is saying the Mishnah says we're going to make a bracha, we're going to make a blessing, we're going to thank Hashem for sending this blessing into the world, but Rav is saying these are dangerous, right? So what Rav's main question is, how can we make a bracha if these are tzara, right? If these are all tzara, they could be dangerous, they could be trouble. How can we make a bracha on that? Like how can we make a bracha on something that could be dangerous or harmful? So how do we make a bracha on these? And that's Rava's question. So he's telling us that barakim are lightning, but then he's asking, like, how can we make a bracha on something that could be harmful or dangerous? Let me see if we have any more information. Rashi says, like, lightning that flashed only once. So then it says, Lamai nafkamina. What is Rava telling us? And he's saying something interesting. So he's saying Rava's saying this. The Gemara is telling us this, that Rava is saying that we need to do this. We need to lamive rachme. We need to pray for mercy from Hashem. Like, this is a sign that Hashem could be angry, and we're doing something that needs to change. And that's what Hashem's showing us by showing this lightning. He wants us to pray for rachme. Right? He wants us lamive rachme. What Rav is teaching is why Hashem is putting these signs in the sky. Hashem wants us to pray for mercy. And that's why he's giving us some of this lightning. It could be so dangerous. So we want to pray for mercy that Hashem spares us from the implications of this ominous phenomenon. It says, V'hani mili b'leilya aval b'safra leis b'ku mashasha. Now this is interesting. Only at night, but if it occurs in the morning, there is no substance. This is it, and this is rare. This is like can't remember many instances of this. So So what he's saying is, if the lightning's at night, it's dangerous, right? So if it's at night, it's dangerous. So only dangerous during the night. But during the day, they have no substance. And it's very rare. Very rare to see lightning so much. Well, I guess we do see it during the day sometimes. But he's saying during the day, we don't have much to worry about. It's very dangerous at night, but in the morning, no substance. It's not dangerous seeing lightning so much during the day. And maybe we'll take a quick, 5-minute break here, and then we'll come back. Any questions so far, or is it all flashing like lightning?
Yes, ominous phenomenon.
Well, right now we're just focusing on lightning. Okay, so you had a great question. What are the ominous signs? So lightning itself may not be ominous, but what the Gemara is saying is, when we see lightning at night, it's more of a sign of danger. It's more dangerous to see it at night. Specifically, what Ra was saying is, if you see a single lightning bolt, so we generally don't see a single lightning bolt, just like a single lightning bolt, bam, it hits somewhere. And that really crazy, like the lightning and thunder at the same time that we had here a few weeks ago, it may have been a single bolt. It may, excuse me. Okay. Hi, I'm in class. Can I call you at 11? Yeah, they were supposed. It was the roofer was checking the roof. They were supposed to come at 12 to 2, and they're there now for some reason. Okay. Okay. So what Rob was saying is, if we see a single lightning bolt, if we see white lightning, so white lightning is going to be it's going to be a combination of all the colors together. All the colors are going to be, or yellow. Now, what's interesting in Lashon HaKodesh, in Hebrew, there's a very confusing word, yarak. And yarak's confusing because yarak can be, or yarok, it can be either yellow or green. But we see the yellow and green are very close in color to each other. And there's even if we look at a fruit, or a vegetable, whatever it is, like a banana, the banana starts out green when it's not ripe, and then as it ripens, it becomes yellow. So we see that it's very close between yellow and green. But usually we see lightning, and generally, I think sometimes I've seen maybe it can be reddish, it can be purplish, it can be different colors. We generally see it as white. I mean, we generally see white lightning, which means it's all the frequencies together, which makes the white light. Now here specifically, single bolt, white lightning, okay, we generally see it white. And then a special case where maybe it's yellow, the lightning's more yellow. Then the implication is, if we see red lightning, which would seem very scary, that's not a sign, or green or blue or anything down to purple, violet. But these specific things, so single bolt, white lightning, which is I think more general what lightning looks like, or yellow lightning. But what the Gemara is saying is, only at night, there's only a dangerous sign of danger at night, and not during the day. So if we have a thunderstorm and lightning during the day, that's not such a bad sign. It's only when it's really coming at night that's a sign.
A bad sign?
Yeah.
What does a sign mean?
Like Hashem's saying, well, what the Gemara is saying is, Hashem, why is Hashem bringing the lightning in those cases where it's dangerous? He's saying, the Gemara is saying, L'miv e rachameh. Hashem is showing us this lightning, saying bad things could be coming, so I want you guys to pray for rachameh. Pray to me for mercy, and then Hashem's giving us a hint, pray to me for mercy, and then we can avoid the bad things that are coming. So here we're talking about the Nazis, Yamak Shamam, a little before. What's interesting is how the Nazis attacked originally the Blitzkrieg, like a lightning, and their symbols were lightning, so they even put the symbols of the danger of lightning, in themselves. But so lightning, in these circumstances, if we see it during the day, not so dangerous. If we see it at night, I'm going to take a quick picture of this, and I'm going to erase this, and we'll go into a little more about lightning here. Okay, got a lot going on today. Alright, so then we'll make a little more room. We'll finish up lightning, we'll go into the rainbow. Okay. Let's go into the next step where Rava takes us after this, or the Gemara takes us after this. And we'll talk, and then we'll keep talking more about the nature of light. We're going to get into rainbows, and then the miraculous nature of rainbows, what they represent.
I was thinking Hashem considers lightning dangerous.
Well, we know physically, just physically, a person can get very, very hurt. Getting hit by lightning, because it's just a high level of just a tremendous level of heat, as a tremendous level of electricity passing through a person. So it can be very dangerous. There's people that survive. To survive lightning, it really almost is a mace. I think a person can make a miracle on an individual mace if they are hit by lightning and survive. We talk about making blessing on a miracle. I think it's out of the teva. When you really study lightning, it's so scary. It's so powerful. Such a high level of heat, such a high level of electricity, such huge voltage. It really is a nace if someone survives, getting hit by lightning. But that's Rava's big question. Rava's big question is, how are we making a bracha on this? If this is so dangerous, and this is a siman, it's a sign of troubles coming, and we have to pray for rachamim. How can we make a bracha on this? Right, so one thing the Gemara says is all right, if it's at night, it's dangerous, but in the morning it's no substance, and we don't have to worry about it so much. Okay, so the next opinion is Rabbi Shmuel or Rav Yitzhak, right? Seems like there's more davening every day now. Baruch Hashem, but it is crazy. Okay, Rav Yitzhak said, so he said, these morning clouds are of no substance. Right, and he writes, Techem, like your chesed, your kindness. Kenanan, it's like a cloud of morning. Meaning, this is saying the kindness. Here, let me see exactly where this is from. So he's bringing this, and he's bringing this example from. Let's see. This is from 36. So the full pasuk says from Hosea 6:4. Hosea 6:4. I'll give you an idea of the whole pasuk. But they're quoting this. They're quoting. Oh wait, I'm sorry. I quoted the wrong one here. Anan boker. So like a cloud of morning has no substance. So the full pasuk is the morning clouds are no real substance. So he says, "V'chastechem ka'anan boker." What can I do for you, Ephraim? What can I do for you, Yehuda, when your kindness is like a morning cloud, and you are like the dew that departs in early morning? So Hashem's giving us tochacha. He's giving us a rebuke, and he's saying your kindness is not real. It's not real. Like the morning clouds are not as substantial as the clouds at night. So when we see lightning during the day, it's not as substantial. Okay, so then let's see where it goes here. So then here we'll go through this. So then Rav Papa says to Abaye, he says Amre Inche. People say, he says Kad Miftach Bave Midra. If rain falls when the gates are open in the morning, Bar Chamara Mok Sakich. It says that the donkey driver fold up your sack and go to sleep upon it. Because morning rain brings forth such abundant produce that donkey drivers gain no profit from selling their grain. So this contradicts the previous assertion that morning clouds are no substance. So here, Rav Papa Bar Abaye, he's saying that the rain from the morning clouds are very good. It brings great growth for the crops. So he answers back to Abaye. So this is a kasha on Abaye. He says it's not like you're saying. saying it's not like you're saying, because he says, like morning, basically what he's saying is morning rains are good, brings abundant produce. So it's very good for the plants and everything growing, the morning rains. So he said, you're saying the morning rains have the morning clouds have no substance, but Rav Papa answers back, but the rains from the morning clouds bring great rain. So they say lo kasha, say ha de katar be'eva. So if the rains are beneficial, so rains are good when the sky is overcast. So I think it's kind of like this morning when the sky is overcast with thick clouds. So it's interesting. So this is like good information for a farmer. So when the sky has thick clouds, you know that rain's going to be really good for the crops. But when it has like little thin clouds, but not good for crops, not good for crops when it's like thin wispy clouds. When there are thin wispy clouds. Which should kind of make sense. We have more substantial clouds. Okay, let's see. So then, this is interesting. So then, it's interesting. What's the purpose for all the rain and the thunder? What's the purpose?
To grow vegetables.
Right. So one purpose is all the crops.
Yeah.
But then, so Rebbe Alexandri, he's going to say a very interesting thing. He's going to say, and he says this in the name of Rebbe Yeshua ben Levi. Now remember Rebbe Yeshua ben Levi, because we're going to bring him up again when we talk about the rainbows. So he's going to say, like, why was thunder? So he's saying thunder was created. So he's saying thunder was created only to straighten out the crookedness within the heart. And he's going to bring a pasuk. He's going to say, Veha Elokim. So Hashem's aspect of din and judgment. So Asa Sheyiru, that they will fear him, they will stand in awe of him, milfanah. Right, so this is a very interesting concept here. Milfanah. And what they're answering here is, they're answering like, why did Hashem make the thunder to begin with? It seems like in some ways the thunder is just the after effect of the lightning, but then everything here is going to come together. Because what Rava was talking about is that the lightning, sometimes if the lightning's at night, and certain kinds of lightning, the Rava was saying if it's single bolt of lightning, if it's white lightning, if it's yellow lightning, if it's at night, then we have to be very worried, because then Hashem's sending us a sign that we may need to change our ways, or we may need to, at the very least, just pray for mercy, and that He's giving us a warning. Then the second part of that, on the thunder, the lightning is going with the lightning. So Rebbe Alexandre is saying in the name of Rebbe Yeshua ben Levi, that why is Hashem bringing, here, let me look at where this is from too. Why is Hashem bringing the thunder too? If the lightning, if the lightning is part of the warning, the thunder then drives the point home. Let's see, this is from, 40. So this is from Ecclesiastes. This is from Koheles, Ecclesiastes So Hellas, and this is 3:14. And this is a very interesting idea. So the thunder is incredibly scary. So sometimes when people get like too arrogant, they get too wrapped up in their own power. When we see lightning and we hear thunder, we see something that's so beyond us, so supernaturally powerful, and it fills us with yira. So this helps like humble people. When you see the great flash of lightning, all that energy, all that power being released in the sky, and then when you hear this loud boom of the thunder, it puts yira into people. It helps, and it's saying it helps straighten the crookedness. Like if a person starts to get too arrogant, too, thinking about their own greatness or their own whatever, if like Hashem's given people great power, great physical strength, great wealth, great athletic ability, great talent, whatever it is, and people start to get too arrogant, or even wisdom, people can get arrogant because of their wisdom. Hashem has the thunder to help us be humble, because we see there's something much more powerful than us. It's like one of the clearest signs of like Hashem's existence and His rulership over the world is the thunder, it's the lightning. It's the power brings yira shamayim into people's hearts. Any questions on this, or how are we doing? Just two.
I mean, it's amazing how we see this from a perspective we've never seen before.
Right. Yeah. Because unfortunately, sometimes with science, it's just looking at, well, how is lightning caused? How is thunder caused? But it's not looking at why. It's not looking at why. Why is Hashem putting this, or who put this lightning in the sky? They're never looking at those questions. Who put this in the sky? Why did He put it in the sky? What's the message?
At the time, why is He putting it now?
And why now? That's the biggest, why now? Why is this storm now? Why is this happening now? And this is some of the questions and some of the feelings that Hashem is getting across to people when He shows this powerful display, like in the sky. All right, so that's
we usually take it from a position, it's going to pass, we're going to ignore it.
Yeah. I mean, so we talked about this before, before we started the class, there's a battle in the world between Amalek and the Jewish people. And Amalek wants, people to have suffix, to have doubt over, Hashem's running the world and Hashem's existence. And they want people to believe that everything's just random, everything's just, everything's coincidence, mikra, it's just chance, probability. And the Torah is teaching clearly that everything happens for a reason. Everything is planned and calculated down to the moment, and the storm is coming at a certain time to deliver a certain message to certain people. And there's no storm that doesn't have meaning. But also what's so fascinating about it all is that we make a blessing and we make a bracha, and the bracha we make is shikocho Gevura Soma Leolam, that Hashem, your strength and your power fills the whole world. And then we also make a bracha. So generally what I do is I make the Osem Maisa Bereshis on the lightning. Hashem created, He did the action of creation, the Osem Maisa Bereshis, and created the lightning. And then the thunder really drives it home. The year of the thunder, Shekocho Gevura Soma Leolam. But we can also see from this why the Mishnah says you can also make a shikocho gevura soma leolam on lightning, because lightning also, it shows the strength and the power of Hashem. They're both very, very, very powerful. And so then we're going to rainbows, right? Rainbows are going to be our friends. Rainbows can't possibly mean anything bad. But we see something really incredible at rainbows, and we see they can represent a tremendous amount of things. So then the next section,
Tremendous amount of?
There's a tremendous amount of meaning in a rainbow. Besides just the physical beauty of the rainbow, there's a tremendous amount of spiritual meaning in the rainbow. I didn't photocopy enough sheets. Can I borrow your sheet on the rainbow?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Is that let me just borrow this real quick. I'll give this back. All right. So let's take a look. So rainbows. So that's interesting. So now our friends again are going to continue their conversation, and they're continuing a conversation about rainbows. So Rabbi Alexandri, he said again in the name of Rebbe Yeshua ben Levi. And what he says is, he says something really fascinating, that when one who sees a rainbow must, amidst the clouds, like inside the clouds, amidst the clouds, and this is amazing, that person, he must fall on his face and say this, must fall upon his face and say the following. You should say, Kimara, just like the appearance, Kimara Akeshus, just like the appearance of the rainbow, Asher, which Yihya is in the cloud, or let me look that up. Let me just look that up real quick. So that's here, let me write out the full here. I'll write out. So he says like here. I'll write it in a different color. This is the definition. This is from. This looks like it's from Yechezkel 1:128, Ezekiel 1:28, and this is the full explanation of that pasuk, that verse. And he says, like the appearance of a rainbow, that would be in the clouds, on a rainy day, so was the appearance of the brilliance all around. And we'll see what this means. And then it says, really amazing, that was the appearance of the lightness of the glory of Hashem.
Yeah, let me go outside. Let's see.
Okay, and this is from Yechezkel, Ezekiel 1:28. And I saw I fell upon my face. And that's the rest of it right there. It's Ezekiel 1:28. So this is a tremendous idea that Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi he's bringing. And Rabbi Alexandra is saying this in the name of Yeshua ben Levi. And he's saying, when we see a rainbow in the clouds, like someone should fall down on their face, on the ground. And then there's a bracha, and then there's a blessing we say in the rainbow. So why such an extreme reaction? What is the thing about a rainbow? That someone should get down, according to Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi, and pray, like almost pray before the rainbow. Now there's going to be a question: can you do this? Is it Maris Ayin? Does it have the appearance of like praying the actual rainbow, not praying to Hashem? But he's going to quote a pasuk from Yechezkel, from Ezekiel 1:28. It's going to say something incredible. It's going to say, like the appearance of a rainbow that would be in the clouds, on a rainy day, so was the appearance of the brilliance all around. That was the appearance of the likeness of the glory of Hashem. So what is Yechezkel, what is Ezekiel talking about? This is a vision of Hashem's throne room. And inside Hashem's throne room, Yechezkel saw a brilliant light. And he saw the light of the Shekinah. And the light of the Shekinah had the appearance of a rainbow. And there's some connection between a rainbow and the Shekinah of Hashem. And we're going to go into it next time, but there's also an idea that the rainbow is a special simon. It's a special sign of the bris, of the covenant of Hashem made with mankind. He made specifically with Noah after the flood. That Hashem would never bring a mabul, would never bring a flood on the entire world again. And a sign of that covenant was the rainbow. Now here's an interesting idea. When we make a covenant, when we make a contract, when we enter into an agreement with somebody, we kind of sign the agreement with our name. And I'm going to say here, a very deep mystical concept. In a sense, the rainbow is an aspect of Hashem's signature. Okay, now you can never completely capture, you can't see the entirety of an infinite being. But Hashem he manifests some bit of his essence to us, of his pure essence, and what's called the Shekinah. And the Shekinah of Hashem itself has the appearance of a rainbow. And what's interesting, before we were talking about like the physicists and optics and Isaac Newton, that white light really it's comprised of all the frequencies of the different colors of visible light. So pure white light, or what white light really is white light is a combination of all the colors, all the different aspects. And the Torah itself is compared to let's say if we had a beautiful gem, a diamond, and have 70 different facets on the diamond. So each word of the Torah, each letter of the Torah has 70 different facets to it. And if you shine light on a diamond, it starts to act like a prism, and it refracts and reflects and beautiful, and you see all these colors and rainbow, because inside the pure light is really the multitude of all the colors. So what I'm going to say here is about the Shekinah. Why does the Shekinah look like a rainbow? Because we talked about before, there's the Or Ein Sof, there's the light of the infinite being, or the infinite light from Hashem. In that infinite light, when it comes into our perception, the way we can perceive it is through this reflection, this refraction of all the lights. So the Shekinah of Hashem appears, according to Yechezkel, it appears like a rainbow. So in a sense, when Hashem was putting the rainbow in the sky as a sign that he would never bring another flood to mankind, in a sense he was signing it, he's signing it. The rainbow it's a signature of the Shekinah, Hashem's Shekinah. So that's what Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi is saying here, that when we see a rainbow in the sky,
we're seeing the Hashem.
We're glimpsing a little bit of the Shekinah. Wow. We're not supposed to stare at it for too long. We can look at it, make a bracha. We'll talk about next time what bracha we make, but we're seeing an aspect of Hashem, and that's why people have such a reaction, such a beauty. So the rainbow, and then if you can imagine, the Shekinah that rested on top of the Aron HaKodesh, that just brilliance, you imagine a rainbow condensed into a small area above the Ark of the Covenant, and that just gives us the sense of the beauty of the Shekinah of Hashem. Right, so that's all for it. So a good shot. And another beautiful idea that as we're heading to Parsha Re'eh, vision, see, and Hashem says, see that I place before you the Bracha and the Klala. And Hashem is saying, I gave you the Torah. I gave you the Torah to bring Bracha into the world, to bring blessing into the world. Not so when people, they don't follow the Torah, they can bring Klala into the world, they can bring curse and destruction and misery and death and all that bad stuff. But when we use the Torah properly, we can bring Bracha, blessing in the world. We follow the Torah, we do the mitzvahs, and we bring Bracha and blessing in the world. Now we can perceive the beauty of the world, and the rainbow is a physical, perception of Hashem Shekinah, Hashem, something.
They call it Olam Hazeh.
Yeah.
You see Hashem, even in Olam Hazeh. People just ignore everything, and they just miss out on Olam Hazeh.
So we're going to see next time why there's something so special about rainbow and the bracha we make on it, and what it means, like what a rainbow means.
Baruch Zocher HaBerit.